with another video. This is a cozy reading vlog. If I haven't said that already, I'm not sure what footage I've edited in front of this. As you can see, I'm in a new setting. I'm not upstairs in my office in front of the bookshelf. I'm downstairs in the living room on the couch. I'm gonna try to be in different spaces. So the book, I'm actually 5 chapters into it. The book that I'm currently reading is Unlikely Story by Ali Rosen. It's actually not out yet. It comes out March 1st, so next month, 2025. And as you can probably predict, if you've seen my last video, I got this through the Amazon First Reads program on my Kindle. So if you haven't seen that video and you don't know what that is, Amazon First Reads is a service that is free for people who are Prime members. So if you're paying for Prime, you know, you're kind of paying for the service, but you get it for free. And basically every month you get your pick of, I think it's 2 books per month. I'm pretty sure that's what it is because I got 2 last time, but for some reason I was only able to get 1 this time. But I believe you get 2 books for free per month, and you get to pick from different genres, and they're books that haven't come out yet, so you're kind of getting like to read it before everybody else does. So last month I read Some Other Time by Angela Brown, and this month I'm reading Unlikely Story by Ali Rosen from it, and I'm really interested. Sidebar, I feel like I say the word interested a lot on this channel. I need to use different vocabulary words, but I read the synopsis and I was intrigued by it, so I'm gonna read it to you so you know what it's about. It says, from the author of Recipe for Second Chances comes a swoon-worthy romance bursting with wit about a therapist who falls for the wrong man, but perhaps the right one was hiding in the margins all along. As a relationship therapist, Nora helps patients explore their feelings honestly, but she's hiding an embarrassing relationship secret of her own. She's in love with someone she's never even met. Jay edits the advice column Nora's been writing anonymously for the last 7 years. He's in London, she's in New York, and they communicate solely through shared files. When he confides that his girlfriend's out of the picture and her boss asks her to come to London, Nora takes both as a sign. But that's not the only thing on her mind. A client's ex-boyfriend just moved into her co-op directly beneath her. Eli, the client's ex-boyfriend, blames Nora for his breakup and seems determined to make her life miserable, gleefully planning a noisy renovation. Yet, despite all his bluster, Nora eventually starts to see the softness behind Eli's brusque, charming exterior. And after a slip-up reveals a startling secret, Nora wonders whether someone can be 2 things at once. Oh, what's she doing? My dog, if you can see her, just got on the couch. But so I read that and I was like very intrigued by it. I think the therapy aspect of it kind of drew me in. The protagonist in the book, she is a therapist, like it says, but she also goes to therapy herself. And I'm 5 chapters in, like I mentioned, and in the very first chapter, she's actually in a therapy session with her own therapist. And so, I don't know, it's kind of cool because she talks about in the book how a lot of people look at therapists as people who have their lives together, they don't need help, but you know, they have their own struggles too. They're able to kind of compartmentalize things and be there for their clients, but they still have things within themselves that they have to go to somebody else about. I feel like it's a certain way that this is kind of giving me an inside look at that, even though not really, because this is not my therapist that I'm reading about. I don't know. There's something about that that's just very cool to me. It feels like an inside look into the world of therapy from the therapist perspective. And yeah, so like I said 2 times already, I'm 5 chapters into the book, and one thing that I really like about it, which I feel like I mention often is like the flow of the book or the way it's paced. It's very smooth. Like, I'm not overthinking the writing. She's not being overly descriptive. She's being just right, just enough. She's describing situations and people just enough. Like, it's very like one sentence to the next. It flows very well. Like, for some reason, I haven't been diagnosed, but I wonder if I have ADHD. I get very like off track easily when reading a book, and it's very hard when an author is like writing in such a way that you just easily lose sense of what they're talking about. That does not happen. I feel like I'm just flowing through it, and that's amazing for me. So I'm gonna keep reading. We're 12% finished with the book. I don't think that this is gonna be one of those reading vlogs where we finish it, but you know, I'm gonna try to get as far as I can, and by Thursday, which today is Tuesday, I want to have enough footage to be able to edit this and upload it. But we'll see where I am by then. I'm not expecting to finish it by then, but I don't know. Her writing's pretty, so that might happen. But for now, I'm just gonna read it. It was too bright in here, but I am a little bit further. I'm in chapter 6 right now, and this book is like, it's giving what I wanted it to give, which is low-key therapy, because I haven't been in therapy for a minute, and I wanted to get some gems without having to pay for the gems. And so the therapist in this book, I have the feeling that it's going to turn into a sort of love triangle, because the therapist in this book is interested in what this one person that she's not met before, but now there's another person in the picture, and I don't want to give too much in case somebody wants to read it, but she's kind of like sabotaging herself in terms of, taking a chance on something that she doesn't know how it's going to turn out, because she says that I'm scared to lose this one easy happy thing I have. So she thinks that by pursuing this person, the little not real relationship, like this little happy thing that she has going on, is going to cease to exist. And the therapist says to her, saying that she's scared to lose this one happy easy thing she has, the therapist says, I know, but having something halfway also isn't fulfilling, so don't keep yourself in a holding pattern. That's a word. I just wanted to say that. This book is very relatable, because I don't know, none of us have perfect parents, and I feel like I'm too early in the book to really talk about the plot in terms of like the whole love things that are going on. But this therapist, who the book centers around, has, even though she helps all these people out, of course, as we know, she has her own issues. And so like, not only this love situation that she's kind of in, but also she has like problems with her parents. Like, she loves them, they're great parents, but they're just, the way they're described in the book is they're just kind of like childish. Like, she's always been a child that has had to be the adult in the family, and I think that's become a big problem for her going into adulthood. And so I can relate to that. Like, I love my parents. They're not together anymore, and they don't need to be. But like, my mom's such a sweet lady, so loving. She gets on my nerves sometimes. And my dad, he is, the furthest, he's very far from perfect. But there are certain things about myself that I know I got from him. And her, basically, she's just saying that she loves her parents, and that makes it hard to communicate with them in the ways that she thinks will help to change their behavior. And I don't know, I feel that. And so I just think that I'm only on chapter 6, and I think there's like 33 chapters in the book. I feel like if you need to go to therapy but you can't afford therapy, maybe find a book that talks about a therapist, a fictional book, because I honestly feel like already that this is helping me in the sense of like being able to walk along somebody else and experience it through a story. It's kind of helping me process, maybe. I don't know. It's now 10:27. I don't remember when I started recording this. I think it was like 8 something. I had a lot of stops and starts in between. Boyfriend came back home, was talking my head off. But I'm on chapter 8 now. Tonight when I started reading, I was on chapter 5, so I've read 5 plus 3 is 8, but technically I read 4 chapters because chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7. No, I read 3 chapters. So yeah, I read 3 chapters tonight, and I can confidently say that I love this book. It is a love letter to therapists. It's a love letter to introverts. It's a love letter to children who have grown up, but it's a love letter to children who take care of their parents but aren't appreciated for it and are overlooked and have siblings that don't do anything and get by with doing nothing, and then the sibling that's doing a lot of stuff has to, gets taken for granted. It's a love letter to them. And like the last chapter that I read was, I think, mostly about the main character. Her name is Eleonora, Nora for short. She's hanging out with her one close friend, and I just love their relationship and how she feels about having one close friend, because as an introvert, I also prefer, for years I know that I was trying to assimilate into like this extroverted culture that society pushes on us, but in more recent months, really, I've been leaning towards just being my true self, which is I don't want to have a lot of friends. I would rather have 1 or 2 close friends, which I do. And I just really enjoy the way she talks about her friend, the way she thinks about her friend, the way that her and her friend talk to each other. And there's one part in here where she kind of she mentions that. She says it in such a really just profound way that I think encapsulates my feelings. There's a screensaver on my screen. It says, "The fact that I only have one person who I'd actually consider a close friend isn't really a result of being shy, the way some people assume I am, since I come across quite obviously as reserved. I think it's more an introversion that would rather go deep. I'd rather have one person who really knows me and understands me than try to spread that out across people. Being with Dane, her friend, always feels easy, and that's a powerful thing. I have been in so many situations where people are good people, I think. They're just not always good for you. And I think that I've been in so many situations where I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me because I don't feel comfortable with this person, or I don't feel like I'm meshing with this person. And it's not that that person is a bad person. It's just that we're not for each other. And that's okay. And I really like that she kind of says that. Like, she's found a person that she is comfortable with, and that's very powerful. And it is. And so this book is really like I think ultimately it's a romance, because we haven't gotten to it yet, but she's like in this like what I think is going to become a love triangle. But it's also talking about these complicated dynamics with her parents and her sibling. It's talking about her friendship. It's talking about like seniors. I love reading books about older people. Like, she lives in a building with these 80 somethings and 70 somethings who bought the building back in the 70s, and they're still living there now. And I just think that is, to be in community like that and to have those people in your life too. I just like the layers to this book. And I'm proud of myself for picking something that I'm enjoying this much just based on the synopsis. But like I said, it is now 10:31 and I'm going to bed because I should have been asleep an hour and a half ago. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Good night. Hey y'all, it's the next morning. It's 8:25 a.m. Let me adjust myself. I've actually been up since like 5 something, but I got out of the bed at 6, and that's a whole nother story. But I've been up for a while and I read 2 more chapters. I really like this book. But what I wanted to say was, so I'm currently on chapter 10, but what I wanted to say was that I looked through like my past GoodReads, like because I've tracked my reads ever since 2017, and I really haven't read that much romance. And recently, like the more booktubers I've watched, I've seen people who are really into romance stories talking about all these tropes like second chance romance and enemies to lovers and things like that. And it's really cool to be experiencing it myself. I want to say for the first time, or at least if I did before, I never paid attention to the tropes. Like Some Other Time by Angela Brown was definitely a second chance romance, and this one is enemies to lovers, and I love it. Like I really, 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 really enjoy that. So I don't know. That's all I wanted to say. That's really all I came on here to say this morning, is that I feel like I have a lot more time to read now, and because I'm reading more, I'm experiencing more. And like I said in the past, I didn't read a lot of romance. I don't really know what I was reading. Or if I did, I just wasn't aware of the tropes, but I am now. And so this Unlikely Story by Ali Rosen is definitely enemies to lovers. And I don't know if a love triangle is considered a trope, but I hear enemies to lovers all the time. I really like it. I'm really enjoying this. So my goal is today to maybe get to over 50%. I feel like I'm kind of flying through it. And if I just sit down and read it for for a few hours, then I might get very far. And I could finish this maybe by tomorrow, which is Thursday or Friday. So we'll see. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
You just say when you want it now, and I'll be around. Turn my place all upside down. One last time, got me thinking of you. It's true, we ripping loud, and I'm crushing now. I just need a minute with you, yeah. Can we skip the conversations? Get back to the nasty part. Could go off any second. So ladies first, so go and start.
So I'm currently working, and it's currently raining outside. Perfect weather for reading, and I guess I'm not really working, I'm reading. But I'm on chapter 11, and I know I like this book because I'm really buying into what the author is trying to sell me. Like, clearly this is an back to what I was saying earlier, clearly this is an enemies to lovers trope, and I love it. Like, I can really tell, like, the tension between her and the guy that it's two guys. It's the guy that she thinks that she likes, but the banter is just, I'm not buying it. It's like when you meet a guy and you're really interested in him and the conversation feels super forced, but because you're so interested, you're looking past that and you think that the banter is good, but it's really not. That's what I'm getting from her and the guy that she's not a match for. But the guy that she hates and who hates her, when they talk to each other, it's like I'm feeling it. And I'm like, I know I like the book because the author is like, I'm buying that. Like, I get it. And also, I gotta look up, I forgot what her name is, Ali something, but I gotta look and see if she's actually a therapist, because she's doing too good with like I'm not a therapist, but I've been in therapy, like I said, and I just feel like for her to have these just nuances down, I feel she has to be somebody with a background in the mental health industry. I bet $10 I'm right. We'll see. But I'm gonna keep reading. I had to switch to my phone. This is so cute. It's so cute. I'm sold. I had to switch to my phone because my camera is like the storage. I gotta take all of the footage off of that and put it on my computer now. But the author has sold me on what she's trying to do here. I would like to say that I'm in a very happy relationship, like the best, happiest healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And I used to think that romance books were not for me because, like, why would I need to read about somebody else's, like, love story when I'm living in my own? But no, like, I'm enjoying this so much. And I think that whether you're yearning, whether you want to be in a relationship, or whether you're already in one that's really healthy, like, there's something for everybody. And I think that I'm able to appreciate this even more than I would have before. I don't know. I'm making a point where I don't know where the point is coming from, but I have to read this. I'm sorry. It says, so the girl, the protagonist, the therapist, the lady, she's on the roof of her building with her enemy, and they've been going back and forth because he just moved into the building. And I'm just gonna say it, he just moved into the building, and okay, I'm not gonna say it because somebody might want to read this. He just moved into the building under some certain circumstances, and they don't like each other. And so he decides that he wants to do something to the roof, and she's like right underneath the area on the roof where he's going to be doing this construction. So she doesn't want it to happen. But he's having like this thing on the roof for all the residents in the building. And she goes, and he sees her, and he comes over to her, and they're like having this back and forth, like tension-filled moment. And it says, like, so after they've been bickering, there's music playing. So they've been bickering, and it says the song changes, and I hear the early strums of wars. Why can't we be friends? Come over the speaker. I see Eli's. That's the guy. I see Eli's eyes light up and immediately know where he's going to take this. No, I say preemptively. There's that laugh again, head thrown back, endless amusement, cheeky desire. He grabs my hand. Oh, yes, indeed, neighbor, he says with a chuckle. Everyone, let's dance. He shouts at the gathered crowd, and everyone whoops and joins right in. I shouldn't have expected anything better of my neighbors. They're all a bunch of old hippies. He starts to put his other hand around my waist, but stops and catches my eye. I'm not expecting to see that. The look there isn't antagonistic. It's asking permission. His eyebrows raised in a question, as though behind